there's a new government agency, and it's called the Department of Gutless Edgelords. They're basically Nazis, and they're people that don't work for the people. They work for themselves and their own monetary benefit.
That's quite the throwback picture you got there too.
Yeah, this is the real deal right here.
An oligarch funding the president with his own very self-interested, dark agenda.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, Tumwa, Iowa. Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up.
He's been a liar and a con man for 40 years. We've known that here in New York City. We know who he is. He showed the world who he is, and somehow people bought it. America was conned largely by Fox, but by others, and they're a danger to democracy, and they're trying to burn the whole thing down and reap the spoils. So we have to fight back every day.
You know, it's interesting. You have the Fox lies. Fox for many years was going crazy about Hunter Biden and all of his corruption. They're very quiet about Musk just handed himself a massive contract from Verizon. Musk, it's reported Musk's wealth has gone up $150 billion. They're all quiet.
Yeah, well, they're all liars, and they know perfectly well what they're doing. Rupert Murdoch and Lachlan Murdoch are adjudged liars. They paid out $750 million in the defamation suit with the election company, and they've got more suits against them. So we know they're liars, and they have no right to be lying to the American public for decade after decade.
You know, in addition to what Musk is doing, the Republican budget is calling to cut almost $1 trillion in Medicaid. There's a lot of conservatives on Medicaid, too. What would be your message to Trump supporters?
MAGA's on Medicaid, so you're in danger, girl. Call your congressperson. What all I can say, do what we're doing. Call your congressperson, get out in the streets, call out the bullshit, and defend yourself. Defend yourself, if nothing else.
And are you worried because Musk and his little teenage, DOGE, they're using artificial intelligence to cut the government? They're just using algorithms, and a lot of people are worried that this is kind of a test run to use it in the regular economy to lay off more workers.
Look at the work of Dave Troy, look at the work of Jim Stewartson, look at the work of Gil Duran, look it up, people. Curtis Yarvin, their philosopher, Google it. What can I tell you? We've known this for several years, if not longer, and people just have to defend themselves. So MAGA, get a clue, look it up, and defend yourself, if no one else. But we're out here defending our democracy.
My last question. I got to be honest, I see more fight and resistance in people out here than I do the Democratic Party. Do you feel the Democratic Party needs to be doing more?
49.8% is not a mandate. Donald Trump is a loser. He's always been a loser. He does not have a mandate. We only lost by 1-point-something%, and it was because folks stayed home. That's a shame. They should have come out and voted for Kamala Harris, and then we wouldn't be having to do this. We'd be protesting for other reasons to move our country forward and get progress and build on the progress that we've been making for the last 40, 50 years. But no, instead we had to roll it all back. So we're out here. I'm a Democrat. I'm fighting. I'm not going to stop fighting.
Teddy, tell me, I'd see more energy here than I do any elected Democrat. Tell me about the energy here and the fact that we're seeing more protests among people than we are the Democratic Party.
That's right. Well, the Democratic Party is failing us right now, and they failed us so hard that the Musk-Trump regime is now in power. And the greatest existential threat that this planet is facing is this fascism, is this oligarchy, is environmental collapse that we're facing as a result. But what we know and what we're seeing here is that it's more legible than ever, the stakes that we face. It's not going to be enough to simply coordinate our outfits and wear pink in the House. It's going to take mass disruptive direct action week after week. This is an unprecedented moment in American history. And so people are going to have to rise up to physically show up to things like this constantly, to show our power. We're toppling a regime is what's happening. It's going to have to happen.
You know what really stands out to me about this? Because for about 2 years now, I've been, trying in a constructive way to say to the protest movement, protest is great, but you got to start economically protesting. We got to start hitting the donors where it hurts in their wallet, because the way you get change is through hurting the oligarchs who control the politicians. So I like the fact that this protest is targeted specifically to hurt Tesla, because Musk will care if Tesla goes down the shitter. Musk will care if he's the world's richest man. He's not exactly going to go poor, but his net value is going down as Tesla goes down. What do you think of this approach that they're trying specifically to target Tesla?
I think it's I think it's going to work, and I think it has to work. We see in protest movements around the globe that tackling the main antagonists of our economic systems, these oligarchs, these mega capitalists, these ultra-rich one-percenters, these billionaires that have, we've just seen it happen, literally purchased the American government. People are going to die as a result of the offices he's disbanding. Pandemics are going to erupt around the world because our funding for organizations have been slashed because of him, and it's all for his profit. They speak the language of profit. We're going to go after that profit. We're going to tank them, and it's going to take mass disruptive action to get there. It's not enough to stay online, to like stuff, to coordinate our outfits. That's not going to cut it. We got to get people in the streets. We got to be shutting these businesses down until it's not viable anymore.
There's a new government agency, and it's called the Department of Gutless Edgelords. They're basically Nazis, and they're people that don't work for the people. They work for themselves and their own monetary benefit.
That's quite the throwback picture you got there too.
Yeah, this is the real deal right here. This is the beast in the castle.
You know, there's obviously serious things at stake here. He's telling the government, lay off air traffic controllers. Planes are falling out of the sky.
Right.
They laid off nuclear workers who protect nuclear stockpile.
Right.
Gutting Social Security. MAGA is going to feel this too, correct?
I mean, I would think so. I mean, what this activity shows is that government matters. And of course there is fraud, waste, and corruption, but there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things, and this is the absolute wrong way to do things, and it's affecting all of the people who are the most vulnerable. So,
do you think there's been a lot of reporting that Musk and his allies are using artificial intelligence to go in, compile a list of government workers to fire, which obviously is pretty haphazard? A lot of people are worried they're just using this as a test run to then deploy it wider in the normal economy and lay off more workers.
I mean, that's news to me, but it's scary. And I think if there's one thing that we know for sure, it's that Elon Musk will use new technologies nefariously. Starlink, for example, turning off internet to the people that need it the most who can't get it any other way. There's one person that's deciding how he's going to provide these resources for folks, and that's extremely dangerous.
Yeah. Obviously, this is focused on Musk, but you have Jeff Bezos, who's kissed the ring of Trump,
right.
Mark Zuckerberg, a lot of big tech CEOs. What's your message to the rest of the billionaire boys club?
We see what you're doing. We see how much money you've donated to this campaign, and I think that the American people that may not have known what they were voting for at first are starting to understand what they really voted for. I mean, you get what you pay for. If you have billionaires exclusively funding your campaign, it's going to be an administration that benefits exclusively billionaires. So we're waking up and we're fighting back.
What are your thoughts on the Democratic Party? Because I'm seeing more resistance from folks here than I am elected Democrats. I mean, they're censuring the one Democrat that confronted Trump, Congressman Al Green.
Right.
They're talking about decorum, while Trump and the world's richest man just gut the government.
Right. What we found out is that Republicans don't play. They don't. What am I trying
play
to
by
say?
the rules.
They don't play by the rules, right? And so we need to have more imagination, and we need to be willing to fight tooth and nail to save democracy. When you have... I'm sorry, I'm noticing that some of these folks are coming from the Women's March, so I'm just excited that there's more people that are coming. But... I'm sorry, I forgot what I was saying.
You got to fight stronger for democracy, you were saying.
Oh, yeah, Democrats need to start figuring out how best to fight this, because what they're doing right now isn't working. Decorum doesn't work. Censuring a Democrat who's vocally speaking against this administration that's already harming so many people is not the way to do this.
Right.
You have to fight back, and you have to start doing it in a different way, because you're losing. You're getting stomped on.
Yeah.
So,
And also, what he was saying was you don't have a mandate to gut Medicaid.
Right.
And they're not even talking about that,
Right.
the leadership of the Democratic
yeah, I think that Democrats need to start thinking about the average person and start speaking to those people. I think their message in this past campaign was lost. I think that it was mismanaged from the get-go, but the thing that's most troubling is that they're not reaching out to folks that may not normally vote for them. But I think there's a lot of middle ground in the kinds of things we want. The messaging has to be better, and it has to be for the lower and middle class. It has to be. And we got to get money out of politics.
Put him in a K-hole. Tell me why you think it's so important to be out here.
Because it's an oligarch funding the president with his own very self-interested, dark agenda.
Yeah. You know, it's really crazy to me. Trump is right now like charging people $5 million to have dinner with him at Mar-a-Lago. People, billionaires are paying $1 million to eat with him in a group setting. Elon, it just came out, has gotten $38 billion in government contracts, but they want to lecture America.
It's the natural evolution of Citizens United. It's like unfettered money in politics. I mean, the whole system is corrupt.
What do you think of the Republican Party, who has criticized Democrats? They criticize Biden, Hunter Biden, corruption. They're quiet as a mouse on all of this. They don't seem to want to say a word about
it's
this.
It's a red herring. It's a red herring. I mean, yeah, the Biden family should not have been. It was not wise or.
No, I mean, but what do you think of Republicans are quiet about Trump handing the keys to the government?
Oh, because they're enormous hypocrites, and they're like, it's just that's part and parcel with Republicans. I mean, it's.
Tell me, what's your sign mean? Put him in a K-hole.
Oh, when you do too much ketamine, you know, he's addicted to ketamine.
Yeah.
A K-hole is like you go into this very, like, you can't even move and you're in, like, this dark place.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Something that I think is very alarming, Musk and his little unelected group of teenagers, they're using AI, artificial intelligence, to compile lists of government workers to fire. They were going to use AI to respond to that stupid email, give me your 5 bullets of what you did this week. A lot of people think this is just a test run. They're using AI to slash government, and then they're going to use it much, much bigger in the private sector, so companies like Amazon, Tesla, Facebook, Walmart can lay off more workers and use AI.
Yeah, no, exactly. AI is easily one of the most insidious developments that we've experienced these past couple of years, and it's sort of like snuck up on us because I think also congressional Democrats have been embracing it as something that we should accept as like an economic developer. It's the artificial intelligence. It's an intelligence that is measured off of how much profit it can make for those who are already rich. It's how to make the rich richer and how to exploit the poor. That's what the intelligence is that's being measured by AI right now, that is being used to exploit people. And so
a Republican congressman, I don't remember his name, just proposed a bill to have AI start prescribing medicine over doctors.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. It's filthy, and again, they're automating things that do not need to be automated simply because it like floods rich people's bank accounts. And AI also as an industry already uses about as much energy globally as the aviation industry. So everything you've heard about the aviation industry, that oil and gas is getting burned. We're torching our planet in order to use this useless and economically exploitative industry. So it's gotta come to a stop. And we know that Musk is a huge proponent of AI. Why? Because he can further exploit and take control and create buffers between himself and any governmental constitutional system as he seizes and steals power.
Do you see this? Do you see this a promising development? Because on one hand, we've seen Republicans protesting at town halls, confronting their own Republican congressmen. And we're also starting to see more traditional Democrat voters turn around and get pissed off at the Democratic Party. Do you see this as somehow Musk and Trump, their actions are turning partisan, tribal, political people against their own parties? Does this create an opening possibly for people to look to vote for more independents, a third party, etc.?
Yeah, look, we'll see what happens in terms of the two-party system, the duopoly that we have. But what we do know and what we're seeing is that people are not fighting left to right or right to left. They're starting to learn to fight up. They're starting to learn to fight and go after the billionaires that are torching our planet, that are killing people here, that are racist bigots, that want to divide us and hurt us. And so especially in the climate justice movement, all of this is baked into one, right? We're facing an existential crisis, and right now it's just reached its peak, I think. And we have a choice nationally. People can rise up physically, shut this shit down, and we might see a glimmer of hope because it's all at this pinpoint now. It's all so legible for us. So I am seeing that hope.
And what about our transgender children who are in the military? And they're going to probably not only lose their careers, never mind jobs and health care and everything else, but they're also going to have a hard time getting back in the States if Trump promotes
And I think
no transgender into the United States, because they're overseas right now.
I think what you just mentioned is important, because I think Trump and the Republicans are doing a very good job of distracting people and getting people to, you know, look at the transgender people while they're screwing you in every other way. They're trying to basically create others.
Yes, and Trump and his cronies are those others that so many of us detest because they're threatening our democracy.
Obviously, this is against Tesla, but none of this is going to matter if our planet burns down. So, can you talk about the current stakes? I mean, we're seeing the wildfires in California, severe drought. We're seeing every summer. It's like hey, this week or this day was a record temperature. Even some conservatives who always mocked it are starting to feel the effects of climate change. What are the stakes with this Trump? Trump wants to drill, baby, drill. They're trying to get rid of even the environmental impact studies so that you could just expedite pipelines. They're trying to remove contracts for wind, renewables. Talk about the stakes for the climate.
The stakes couldn't be higher for the climate right now, and that was already true under the Biden administration. I mean, I think Biden managed to usher in a fascist regime by being the most milquetoast, I think, feckless corporate Democrat that he could. And he was not taking the action that we needed to see on climate.
Actually, Biden, instead of calling for a climate emergency, he held a press conference announcing cooling centers. More cooling centers, if that gives you an idea.
Right. So they're obsessed with the idea of covering their asses with like strategies like mitigate suffering because of... How do you mitigate suffering because of the climate crisis when you are flooding the industry with subsidies to torch our planet, to drill, baby, drill? I mean, that was already Biden's policy. But now with Trump, we are seeing him dismantling any progress that was made around manufacturing for renewables, for example, the Paris Climate Accord, things that could have been binding if the U.S. were to sit and commit with them for years going forward. We also know that, like, the likes of Trump and Elon, I mean, they care about power and they speak the language of money. They don't care. They don't care about the environment. They're not going to react also to messaging around the planet burning, even if they understood it to be true. Even as, you know, they're going outside and saying they're climate denialists. Even if we think privately they know it to be true, they do not care. They're here to enrich themselves and empower themselves. But right now we have a moonshot chance to go after the very system that put them in power, which is racial capitalism, which is the fossil fuel industry. And if we can do that, we might have a glimmer of hope for this country and the world's most vulnerable people.
We got about, last time I checked, 8,000 people watching. Tell them about climate defiance.
Yeah, so I'm with a group called Planet Over Profit currently, and we partner a lot with Climate Defiance. These are both disruptive direct action groups that have had enough seeing the inaction of corporate Democrats, seeing the inaction of local leaders. Planet Over Profit is a youth-led direct action group taking the fight for climate justice directly to the people responsible for the crisis we face. That's billionaires and their allies in office. So we've disrupted countless people here in New York. We organized this protest today along with our movement allies, and we've gone after the likes of Elon Musk. A year ago, I was arrested for protesting Elon Musk, disrupting him on stage, fossil fuel CEOs constantly. And these protests work because we are directly humiliating the people responsible for these crises that we face. Today, you know, we're outside of this building. We went inside, we occupied this showroom, but oftentimes it's most effective to find these people where they're speaking, where they feel like they can be honored, where they feel safest, and get right next to them and humiliate them in front of everyone in that room and people the world over who know that they deserve to be called out for the bullshit and called out for the harm that they're causing the world over.